Hey everyone, Carla here with Opening Chocolate. This week I'm going to be talking about books. So every week when I make these videos, you see behind me all of these books. And a lot of them that you can see have to do with chocolate. So I'm going to give you a quick look at my bookshelf, and then I'm going to tell you about my top 5 favorite nonfiction chocolate books. So let's take a quick look at the book. All right, so I have about 3 shelves just on chocolate books. So here I'm just going to walk past quickly if you want to see what I have. Some of them, like these ones here, are on tasting. Some of them are on sensory, tasting and senses. Some of them are history. Some of them are fiction versions, chocolate stories. Okay, so that's my bookshelf. I've not read all of them. There are some that I've only read parts or are on my to be read list. So I'll show you my top 5 books, and I'm going to start with number 5. That's this one, The New Taste of Chocolate, by Maricel Priscilla. She is a chef, a chocolatier, a food historian. She's got all kinds of credentials behind her. This one was published in, I think, 2015. Let's flip the camera around and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Okay, so here's what it looks like on the inside. It's big, I can't fit it in the whole frame. So I was wrong, it wasn't 2015, it's 2009 that it was last updated. And I have heard Maricel say that she's working on an update. But this is a nice, you see the size, it's kind of like a small size coffee table book. It's got some lovely pictures in it. Maricel is an expert in Latin American history and Latin American food and cacao in Latin America. So that's the focus of it. She does some history. She talks about genetics. She talks about flavors in chocolate, making chocolate. There's Art Pollard. And she's also got some, in the back, she's got some recipes, some of them based on traditional, let's see if I can find, traditional recipes. So here's like a traditional drinking chocolate. Then she's got more European recipes like the Sacher Torte here. So it's just a good general overall book. The reason why it's number 5 is because it could use an update. There are some things that need to be updated in it. So it's a nice overall book. If you're a chocolate nut, it's a good book for you to have to get a general history, learn a lot about chocolate in Latin America, chocolate genetics and that sort of thing. So that's number 5. Let's go. All right, so here's my number 4 pick on the top 5 nonfiction chocolate books. It's Making Chocolate, and this is brought to you by the guys at Dandelion Chocolate. This one is a really good one to look at if you want to know about actually making chocolate and the process of making craft chocolate. They talk about a lot of great things. So let's flip the camera around and take a look at that. All right, so Making Chocolate is their experience as craft chocolate makers and learning about the craft chocolate industry. Some great artistic photographs in here and lots of information. So they talk about, they talk about the process, the tools. They have a quick start guide. They talk about sourcing. They talk about recipes. They talk about using the equipment. This is a funny one. Pump out your Frankenstein. They talk about, they've got a lot of information basically from the tree to the farm to the bar. So they have information about sugar, information about fermentation, scaling up. Then they've got some recipes for different things in the back, from hot chocolate to using how to choose what kind of origins to make, marshmallows, all kinds of good stuff. This book is just chock full of information if you want to know more about being a craft chocolate maker. So that was published in 2017, and so it's still fairly up to date on most of the information. So that's book number 4. Let's see what book number 3 is. All right, book number 3 on my top 5 is this one, Chocolate Science and Technology. So this one is more like a textbook. It's something you would use if you were taking a food science class. You got to be into chocolate and committed if you want to read this one. But if you do, you're going to have all the information that you could ever possibly want. So let's flip the camera around and take a look at the inside of this book. Okay, so like I said, this one is a little bit of a textbook kind of style. It's not a casual read. This Emmanuel Afokwa, I'm not sure I'm saying that right. That's my tasting guide. He is from the University of Ghana. Got lots of great information in here about history, world cocoa production, the cocoa industry, processing and technology, cultivation practices, industrial manufacture, chemistry, nutrition, sensory information. A lot of information in here if you want to be in the chocolate industry. But you can see some of it is very technical. So this is not going to be your casual chocolate read. This is going to be a little more deep, but you're going to learn all kinds of stuff if you can read this. And I haven't read this front to back. I read it a little bit at a time when I need to know that information. And I've got some color pictures in here of different things, but I find that these pictures are not as good or as useful as other books that I have. So this is a really good one if you're interested in more technical stuff, chemistry, nutrition, that sort of thing. This is really good. So this is a textbook feel to it, but so much information. So that's my number 3 book. Let's go see what number 2 is. All right, we've looked at the top 3. Let's see the runner-up to the number 1 chocolate book that I think is out there right now. This is my book number 2. This is The True History of Chocolate by husband and wife Sophie and Michael Coe, who are sadly both have passed away now. This one, Sophie was food historian. Michael's specialty was Mesoamerican history. So they combined it to create this book, and there's a lot because of his concentration. There's a lot of focus on Mesoamerica in here, but let's flip it around and I'll show you some of the other stuff that are inside. All right, so my number 3 book, The True History of Chocolate. This is the 3rd edition. This one was put out this 3rd edition was 2013. It was first written in 1996. So it's not a textbook. It can be a little bit, there are slower parts to it. There's some nice pictures, nice color pictures, some nice historical pictures. It does go into how chocolate gets to Europe. Half of the book, though, is, if you look, here's the North American, Mesoamerica half, here's the European half. So there's a lot of historical information on the movement of chocolate and how it becomes the luxury treat that we all love today. So really good historical, well-researched information in this book and my number 2 book on my chocolate list. Okay, let's flip it and see my number 1 choice. All right, we made it to number 1. My number 1 choice for a nonfiction chocolate book is this one by Ramsey, Chocolate, Indulge Your Inner Chocoholic. So I will tell you why this is my number 1 choice, and I'm sure there are people who would disagree with me. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you would choose instead. And let's flip this around and I will tell you why this is my number 1 choice. So let's take a look. All right, so here's why this is my number one choice for nonfiction chocolate book. Mostly, almost entirely, it's because of its accessibility. So this book is written by someone who knows what they're doing. He's a chocolatier and chocolate maker out of England, published in 2015, I believe, 2016. And what I like about this is that anybody could pick up this book, any age almost, and learn something about chocolate. And really, you wouldn't even have to read to learn something about chocolate. So this is a DK book. If you're familiar with their books, they're like book infographics where they give you all this information and beautiful pictures to look at and lots of eye candy as well. So he talks a little bit about the history, about the movement of cacao, and obviously because it's designed this way, you're not getting a deep dive into all of these subjects, but you're getting an overall look of the chocolate industry and how chocolate is made and the steps that go into making it. One of my favorite parts is the origin part of the book. So they talk about where cacao comes from in the different origin countries. That's really cool. I like that part a lot. Talks about the harvest season. Talks about the different kinds of chocolate, the ingredients that go into chocolate, labeling, chocolate bar wrappers, what words mean. And it's just so easy to read. I mean, look at this. You could read this if you were 10 years old or 90 years old and still learn something about chocolate. Talks about tasting, talks about making from bean to bar with great pictures to show you what the steps should look like. So just lots and lots of great information in this book. Dom and DK did a really good job when publishing this book. And of course, it's got some recipes in the back. I mean, zucchini with chocolate? Come on. So lots of good recipes to try. Just everything you could possibly want to know about chocolate for anyone who wanted to know about chocolate. And just a really great book to read, good information, beautiful pictures to look at, and you will learn something when you read this book. And that's the reason why it's my number one book. It may not have the most information, it may not have the most in-depth information, but you're going to learn something when you read this book, and anybody who wants to could read this book. So that's why it's my number one choice. All right, I have a bonus book for you, and this one is just a sentimental one for me, although it is still a very good book to have in your chocolate library. Way back in the early 2000s when I was getting into craft chocolate and trying Scharfenberger and Valrhona for the first time, my sister gifted me a book for Christmas, and it is this one, The Chocolate Connoisseur, and it was just basically a revelation that A, someone could do this for a living and eat chocolate, and B, of how much there was that I still needed to learn about craft chocolate. So this one is more about, and you can see all my crazy tabs that I have marked on here. So this one it was published in 2005, so it's kind of getting outdated now. Good information about tasting. It's got okay graphics. It's a short book, nice little book, quick to read. We'll give you some information about tasting, what it means to taste chocolate, what it means to be a chocolate connoisseur, and just something that you should have in your arsenal. So those are my top 5 nonfiction chocolate books. I hope that you someday get a chance to read them or check them out. And if you disagree with me, I'm open to hearing what your selection might be. Let me know what you think is the top 5 nonfiction chocolate books, or recommended book to me. I love books, as you can see, and I'm always up for the next great read, especially about chocolate. I hope you'll join me next week. Make sure to subscribe so you get a notification, and we'll see you then. Thanks.